Today I'm doing a video called What Did the Dragon Say? Or what does a dragon say? It's like what does a fox say? It's because in the book of Revelation it says that the false prophet spoke like a dragon. And in the book of Ezekiel, God called Pharaoh a dragon, and that the dragon says that the Nile was created by him and that he is the maker of the Nile, or the Nile is his, or something like this. I put it on the screen because I don't remember, and I really don't want to tie my videos with the rhythm of my editing because it messes me all up. It reminds me a little bit of, that spirit of Hitler, that anti-Semitic spirit, and now it's rising up again. And we have certain really big churches not speaking against it or saying anything against it. And today I was in church and we had this really bizarre prayer during there's this rhythm, this thing we do where we have prayers. And it was just such a weirdly worded and folded prayer. It's just very backwards. And I realized I don't think the church I attend actually does support Israel. It just feels very creepy. I don't like that, in my opinion. It kind of scares me a little bit. But anyhow, I'm going to speak on something that a lot of people are called heretics for, and I'm not saying that this place doesn't exist. I know for a fact it does exist. I just don't think it exists the way we believe it does, that we don't have enough information about this place. It's a bit veiled on purpose because it's only for God to know, not for us to fully understand. And all I'm doing is saying, hey, I just want to notice there's this bit of a pattern, and maybe we don't entirely understand it the way we think we do, and maybe we need to explain this place a specific type of way that's the most simplest, easiest kind of elementary package. And the reason why we need to be packaged in a way that's easy to grasp is because people don't want to get too complicated with spirituality or the truth of God, or they don't have the time for it. And so it's easier just to say, hey, you should just be afraid, and just be afraid for this reason. And the reason is hell. Okay, and I'm not saying you shouldn't fear hell. What I'm saying is you should have such a reverence and awe for God that hell and the fear of that place should be completely secondary, and in the most smallest way. For God or Jesus to say, depart from me, I never knew you, is the thing I'm afraid of, like very, very afraid of. Because what he's saying is, I'm aborting you. I'm aborting you from this moment to the future, from into eternity. You're not going into eternity. And it seems as though we're kind of in a type of womb where we're being developed. You know how we were developed physically in the womb, but now we're being developed in character and in spirit. And it's like a saint's training ground is where we are. And he's basically, right before the birth into eternal life, he could say, depart from me, I never knew you. Meaning nobody in there that are going to be in there for eternity will remember you. And it will be as though you never existed. That's scary. And it kind of makes sense, because in order to live forever, you have to know Jesus Christ. Death is the cost of not knowing him. And there's the second death situation. And I'm going to scroll. I basically asked Google, show me all the places where hell is mentioned. You can see a pattern. The pattern is that he even speaks of these two witnesses, or it's the devil, the false prophet, and the beast. He throws them alive inside of the flames that burned for eternity, where all of the demons and dark angels and Satan is. And they go in there alive, and they suffer the second death. They cease to exist. This is how this is what I hear. I don't know what everybody else hears, but I don't think you can have eternity outside of Christ. So how can you burn forever outside of him? You have to be in him to live forever. So of course the eternal beings, or immortal beings, made in an immortal way, however type of batch God did to do that. I don't know what kind of spoon and bowl he pulled out to make those beings, but they're made differently. They're not made of the earth. They're not us. So they're made to last forever. So they burn forever. So I think that flame is so hot that when we go in there, we could go in alive and know that we're going and know that God has sent us in there. That's scary. And there will be a gnashing of teeth as we go in. And do those immortal beings, I mean, they seem to have teeth and they seem to have mouths. I'm sure their teeth are gnashing too for eternity. What I'm saying is that this is the point. I heard somebody on this show that I watch, and he basically said to this person, I'm praying for you because I don't want you to go to hell. That's not the first thing on my mind. I don't think that to myself, my goodness, I need this person to know Jesus, otherwise they're going to go to hell. You know what's worse than that? Is being destroyed by the one who can destroy not just you physically, but he can spiritually destroy you. He can destroy the body and the soul. And that's frightening, to think that there are people that I walk with, that I'm existing with, that won't exist in eternity. There are people that God says every man is without excuse. No man will go into the afterlife with an excuse. Outside of the fact that there are crowns, and crowns meaning something very different than an earthly crown. It's a burden, it's a humility, it's something very different than what the crowns are on earth. There are crowns set aside for people, new names set aside for people, a place in heaven, a role in heaven. You're part of the unity of heaven. I wouldn't want that to be broken. I think there's a beautiful, perfect, predestined way, providence that God has. And I like that everybody be full participants of that. I think there's something very beautiful, but it's all free will, it's all choice. Some people might choose not to. And boy, it's an easy thing to choose not to. It's a little bit like Apostle Paul. There are many Sadducees and Pharisees that did persecute Christians, but we don't know their names. But we know Apostle Paul's name, and we'll always know his name. We'll go into heaven knowing who he is. To go throughout life from birth until 100 years and to not ever know the face of God or see the face of God. And whenever somebody's speaking spiritually about seeing the face of God, what they mean is the character of God, the ways of God. And maybe some folks, religious-wise, treat God like an idea, a concept of truth, a plumb line, but that he's not living and breathing. I don't know. But he became very alive and living and breathing to Apostle Paul. And he became very alive and living and breathing to all the people today who didn't know him but know him now because of an amazing encounter they had with him. And I don't want the spiritual flames on people either. I don't want people to get the side eye, but it's really not about hell. It's really about that person not being able to reach their full potential. I'm so excited for them to know what God has in store for them. I'm excited for God to reveal who they are to them, and so that they can see themselves the way God sees them. That's what I'm excited about. I'm excited about them walking in their fullest potential in this place. So whenever the answer is, I guess we'll all see at the end of all this, when we all die, we'll all see who's telling the truth. Apostle Paul found out in life. I found out in life. I died and rose again in this life. I suffered a spiritual death and I spiritually rose. So I know it's real. So I kind of feel like the whole, I pray for you because I don't want you to go to hell. It's a little disingenuous, and I don't think people mean to be. I just think that's the real understanding of the Bible. And, for all we know, let every man be a liar and let God be true. If it's true that there is a physical place that's not just held and set aside for the demons to burn forever, and for us to kind of fall into after God has disposed of us, and for us to be aborted from this eternal place that God had in store for you. If it's really a place we all really do burn forever, then that is what it is. But I don't think the scripture supports that, or it only shows us so many sides and dimensions to this really big concept that we don't see enough of it. And maybe we're not supposed to. Maybe it's not for us to see. But I'm pretty sure when he says, I never knew you, that's kind of telling. When it goes on and on about these people going into this eternal place and suffering the second death, it sounds like you died the first time, suffered judgment, you did not know Jesus as Lord and you died again, and that's it. Like, you're separated from the existence of God. It's as though you never existed. And there's something so much more scarier about that. There's something very frightening, because I really like a lot of these people that God has made on this earth. And to think that I'd only know them here and not there is it's very scary. And I do think in heaven we're going to be evolved versions of ourselves, because some of us maybe went into these other places, other dimensions to, explore the possibility of that second death, and our free will kind of being controlled by God and him touching us a little bit with that flame for refinement, and then us coming out so different that maybe we won't even physically recognize each other. I mean, definitely not me. I'm going to look a lot better than I do here, okay? I know you will too. So, well, this is Linda of Christ is King forever. May God be with you.